This video was recorded live before a canned studio audience. It's Friday Night Movie Reviews, and here they are, Chris and Keith.
Hi, how's it going? How's it going? Thank you for joining us tonight. This is Friday Night Movie Reviews. Thank you for joining us. We love it whenever you come to see us because we love seeing you. Tonight we're going to review a movie that did not come out in theaters. It is on a streaming service, and if you want to see it, then you can go and look it up. The movie is called
The Electric State, and it's on Netflix right now.
The Electric State, and it stars Chris Pratt. And if you guys have watched anything like Stranger Things, then you will notice that there is an older version of Eleven in there.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown. This movie is like Chris just said, on Netflix, and it's the basic premise of the movie is humans created these robots.
Yeah, and this is an alternate universe from ours.
Right,
I should
right.
say that right off the bat.
It's like an alternate universe, because this is like back. When would you say the movie? They actually said it when it was placed, right?
Yeah, this movie takes place in the 90s.
Right.
So it's an alternate Earth in the 90s. And Walt Disney actually was one of the people that first created robots.
Right. They bring that out in the movie, that Disney created these robots. They ended up turning these robots into servants to serve them. And they performed other tasks. But then the robots became self-aware.
Yes.
Of course, like robots and things like that always do.
Yep. You know, they always go awry, like Terminator and all that kind of thing.
But these didn't quite go the Terminator route.
Yeah, they wanted their independence. They didn't necessarily want to kill anybody or hurt anybody. And it was just one of those things where, oh, well, if you're not going to do what we tell you to do, we're going to have to go to war with you then.
Right.
And so they have a robotic war set in the 90s that didn't occur in our world.
Right. But it occurred in that universe, and it didn't really go too well for anybody. It didn't really go well for the robots, and it really didn't go too well for the humans either.
Yeah, lots of humans were killed. We actually had to sequester a part of the United States where we shove all these robots into the forbidden zone, and you're not allowed to go in there because that's where the robots live, and
they're not allowed to come out.
Yep. So there's a whole treaty that was designed after the war. One of the main characters, Chris Pratt Keats, he was a soldier in that war. One of the villain characters in the movie, Giancarlo Esposito, is also from that war. So you've got connections there. And Millie Bobby Brown is in it. Basically, she had a car accident that was unrelated to the war, and she lost her family in that war, and she thought she lost her brother as well. But lo and behold, a robot shows up from the Forbidden Zone where he shouldn't be, claiming to be her brother.
And that's where the movie kind of takes a strange turn. And I say strange turn because it's more of a plot twist kind of thing than anything else. Not really going to reveal too much in that respect, because that kind of gives away more of the plot.
Yeah, and that's what was in the trailer, and it becomes the MacGuffin of the film. Is it really her brother? Is her brother really inside a robot?
Right.
What's the situation there? You also have a veteran actor, Stanley Tucci, is also in the film. He's kind of like the Steve Jobs of robots. He was one of the major creators, and he actually creates this technology that allows you to pilot robots off in some distant area, like a drone type situation.
Right. So you're sitting in a room and you are controlling this robot body. So you're not actually inside the robot. You're just controlling it with your mind power.
And see, it's not breaking the rules because the robot doesn't have a mind of its own. It's being piloted by a real person.
Right. Now, this movie, like we said, is on streaming. This movie could have been maybe if they had put a little bit more effort, a little bit more kind of oomph into it,
Yeah,
this one could have been at the theater.
because the plot was there, had a plot for a good movie. I mean, the movie itself had good music. You had the Russo brothers directing and writing the film, who have directed several of the Avengers films at this
Mhm.
point, and they're planning on doing the next two Avengers movies.
And you had like, I wouldn't say an all-star cast, but you had some pretty well-known
Absolutely.
stars in it.
Yeah, and there was people that were just voices of the robots.
Right.
One that I became aware of right before the review was that Woody Harrelson actually plays the Mr. Peanut robot, and
Right.
he's one of the main characters.
So you had Chris Pratt, you had
Stanley.
Millie Bobby Brown, you also had that's her name, right?
Yeah, Millie
got it
Bobby
right.
Brown.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Stanley Tucci's in the film.
Stanley Tucci,
Gina
and then,
Carla Esposito.
Mhm.
Anthony Mackie plays Chris Pratt's robot friend.
Right.
Who
And
was
then
Falcon.
and you had the guy who plays Short Round, he was in it.
Yep, he plays a doctor who works directly with the robot people.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, you had some pretty well-known actors in this movie, and it could have been a whole lot more than it was. I will say this: it was a whole lot more than a movie that we did go see that we didn't really like too much. If you guys went to the theater and watched and tortured yourself with the movie The Creator, then this movie is kind of along the same lines. In my own opinion, this movie is what The Creator could have been, and vice versa. It's what The Creator should have been.
Yep, if you could just simply have taken these two movies and put them together,
Right.
Because The Creator had that cinematic quality to it. It was
Right.
just a terrible movie. Where
Right.
this one was clearly a streaming movie and didn't have as much money behind it. Even though I think the budget even for this movie, I'm like, I think maybe they needed to do an audit.
Yeah.
Like, where did that money go? Because
Yeah.
there are scenes in the Electric State that you can tell it's a green screen. It's almost like Captain America 4
Yeah.
level bad.
Yeah. But it was the storyline was great.
Yeah.
I loved the storyline. I loved the concept
Yeah.
of this movie, whereas I didn't really like the concept of The Creator.
Yeah, the Creator was a propaganda film. That's all it really
Right.
was.
Right.
This one had a message, but it was more how they used to do science fiction films in the past.
Yeah.
Where there was a message there, but it wasn't beating you over the head with it every 2 minutes.
Right.
You know?
And it wasn't it wasn't an agenda driven message. So
No,
it
no.
was really good, and it had like a really good family quality to it.
Absolutely. It had a lot of heart. I mean, Chris Pratt is always going to play Chris Pratt in every movie he's in.
Right.
But even he can still bring emotion, and he did in the film. Millie Bobby Brown, she certainly has a similar acting range to him, and she
Right.
brought what she could to it. And the movie does have a lot of heart in it. Like I said, like we both said, if they said just put a little bit more into it, this could have been a cinematic movie
Exactly.
at the theaters. But
Exactly.
it just fell short, and I'm not sure the reason why that is the case, especially with the money that they spent on it. Because just go look up the numbers for what they spent on this movie. You're like,
Wow.
this is like almost like an Avengers level amount of
Right.
money that was spent. It's like,
Right.
I can see why Netflix is charging us so much money now. Like
Right.
it's getting unreal. It's like, Netflix, maybe you should like back off making movies and just go back to using other people's movies.
Right.
I'm kind of in that camp now.
It was something that really was a good project, but it just wasn't performed very well. Not the actors' performances was great. It just wasn't brought to fruition the way it should have been,
Yeah.
and the way it could have been, especially with the budget that it had.
Yeah.
So it could have been a whole lot better than it was, but it just wasn't. It fell short a little bit. So as far as how I personally felt about the movie, is it worth your time? Should you sit and watch the movie? Absolutely. I mean, it's on your streaming service. Hey, you know what? If you got nothing else to do, sit down and watch the movie. It's actually pretty good, and you may
Yeah.
actually find some things in it that you enjoy. You'll definitely find some things down memory lane that you enjoy, because
Oh,
there's a lot of like extra little Easter egg type stuff that you're going to see in the movie. I remember those.
Yeah,
you know,
they
that
they
kind
have
of
they have a
thing.
lot of member berries, as I like to call them. It just a lot of '90s references, some even '80s references that are in it.
Mhm.
Like I said, because it's the Russo brothers, they put good music in it.
Yeah, the soundtrack is great.
Like I enjoyed that. The pacing was fine in the movie. Like I wasn't sitting there like want to look at my phone. I actually watched the movie from beginning to end.
Right.
And with streaming movies, we have the tendency where we can hit pause and go do something else and come back to it. This is one of those ones I watched from beginning to end and didn't stop it. So it's not a boring movie, and there's not like a pacing issue with the film.
Right.
And there are a lot of cameos in the movie too. Like Jason Alexander makes an appearance in the film.
Yeah. So
so-
there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of good things that you do see that you're like, that bring up, like he said, memories and things like that. So it's really cool in that regard. I enjoyed the movie. I definitely think it's worth the time to watch it. But at the same time, we were sitting here talking about it before the review, and we were actually having to go back and look up people.
Well,
Who was in it?
Who was in it? What was
Who-
the character's
Yeah,
name?
what was the character's name? So it's not one of these movies that is going to be so profound that whenever you get done watching it, you're going to be like, wow, I really just have to sit down and think about that one for a while. It's nothing like that.
No, this is very,
And-
very surface level. Very,
Right.
It's a popcorn movie. That's what
And
it is.
and it's not anything that, decades from now people are still going to be talking about, such as Star Wars or something to that effect.
yeah, or Wrath of Khan.
Right.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's not going to be something that profound, but at the same time, you're kind of, I mean, we saw it, what, two, maybe 3 weeks ago?
I'm be generous and say 3.
3 weeks ago?
And I couldn't remember the characters' names. I kept
Yeah.
saying Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown.
Right.
And I honestly had forgotten
And that's about it.
I'd forgotten that Giancarlo Esposito. I'm like, oh yeah, he was the bad guy in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stanley Tucci's the other one. Like I love Stanley Tucci and most of his movies that he's in. And I was like, how did I forget that? Like
Right.
he was obviously he was supposed to be like Steve Jobs. That was what they were kind of emulating there
Right.
a little bit.
Right.
I mean,
So
down to his outfits in the film. But yeah, it's not one of those movies you're going to remember stuff from. You're going to be like, oh yeah, that's that robot movie that's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's kind of forgettable, unfortunately, because it is a well done streaming movie, and it had, you can tell that it had a lot of potential. It just didn't go very far, and didn't really go anywhere.
Now, who do you think the audience for this movie is? What age groups do you think can watch this? Is this really appropriate for like young children? Or?
No, I wouldn't say it's,
Because they use the S word quite a
yeah,
bit. in it.
they do use quite a bit of language in it. I mean, it's nothing like Smile 2, on the level of Smile 2, where they're just screaming cuss words.
Check out that review if you haven't already.
So it's nothing like
Nice plug.
that. But at the same time, if your kid happens to walk in the room, you're not going to be struggling to find the pause button. There's no adult situations in it.
No nudity, nothing like that. Yeah.
There's really no adult jokes in it, as far as like innuendo and stuff like that. A lot of violence, because but it's a lot of human on robot violence. But I will say that the robots are human shaped.
They're human shaped. They have human emotions.
Yeah, some of them have human emotions.
And to see them die, you kind of feel their deaths.
Yeah, you do, because you kind of make a connection with them, and then suddenly they're.
I mean, one of them is the mascot icon, Mr. Peanut from.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
from Planters Peanuts.
So I mean, I don't want to know how much they actually had to pay to get Planters to be on board on that.
Right.
Because he looked like the one from the '90s, how Mr. Peanut looked in the '90s.
He really did. They did a good job with that. But as far as like, age range goes, it's not going to be one of those kind of things, like I said, where you're struggling for it to keep the kids away from it. I wouldn't purposefully sit my kid down and watch this. Hey, let's watch this movie. But at the same time, if I was watching it and he walked in, I wouldn't be like, "Hey, you got to get out."
Yeah.
It's not like that.
And mostly the little kids will be focusing on, oh, look at the cool robots.
Yeah, robots. Wow. Yeah. Oh, they're fighting. So it's going to be more like that than anything else. But there are a lot of parts in it where the kids will be like, and they'd eventually get bored with it and walk out.
Yeah, because it does have a lot of exposition, emotional moments that are not robot fighting, and that's the only thing the kids are going to care about. It's like, when are the robots going to fight again?
Right. So it would be one of those situations. Now, but it is worth your time sitting down and watching. So really, as far as us rating the movie, how many Pepsis would you give this?
This is better than average, so I would say probably a 6.
Yeah.
Just a solid 6. Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably say the same thing. I'd probably give this movie a solid 6 popcorns, because it's not like terrible. Like he said, it wasn't one of those movies where you're watching it and you're thinking of other things that you could be doing at the moment. I could be out watching the bug crawl across the driveway,
doing my taxes, cleaning the driveway, that kind of thing.
Right.
It's like you start thinking of chores you could be doing. That's sad, because it's like if a movie's boring you that much to be thinking about doing chores, that movie has failed.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's not going to be one of these movies that a year from now, you're probably going to remember every detail of. So don't think that it's a super good movie and be disappointed about it.
Trust me,
right?
In 3 weeks when you can't remember any of the characters' names, yeah.
Yeah, you'll be right on par with us. Or maybe we're just getting old.
I worry about that. That might be a little bit of that too, Sorry, ageism joke. We're sorry. It happens.
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen for sure. Well, there's our cue to go. We thank you for being here with us tonight.
Yep. Remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification for when our next video drops. Leave us a comment. What did you think of The Electric State? I would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you have any other suggestions for future videos, leave us a comment. And always, thank you.
Did we get this one wrong? Let us know. We'll answer you back. We won't make fun of you too bad. Hey, you know what? Sit down and watch a good movie with your kids. Take your kids to the theaters and watch a good movie at the theater. Whatever you do, enjoy your movie.